Diaz doesn't go down easy.
This is my city!
There's enough explosives in here to send us into orbit.
You got 5 seconds! 5! Move! 4!
It's a trap.
3!
I'm gonna kill you.
2! 1!
You want my help? I'm gonna need 2 things from you. The first is, I'm gonna need you to say the words.
I am the Green Arrow.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. So we got a whole bunch of Arrow, Flash, and 4-way crossover for next year's stuff to talk about. Stephen Amell was teasing next year's crossover. He went in to talk about Season 7 with the Arrow Writers Room in the past couple of days, but they also pitched him what next year's 4-way crossover is going to be. So obviously we have to break that down with all the Arrow stuff that's going to be happening next week, because if you didn't know, the Arrow finale is next week, even though the Flash is a week behind. So I'll explain the schedule at the end of the video too, but be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's a new round of that Flash ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a DC related comment on the video. So here's that clip of Stephen Amell talking about next year's 4-way crossover.
What would it be?
I don't know, but I also don't know how you guys are going to do another crossover because, oh my gosh.
Oh, I do. Yeah, no, I got pitched that too yesterday. I think there's going to be some news coming up about that. When I got pitched it, the good thing for me about the show is it's impossible to say how long, I'm gonna do it. I don't totally foresee a Jared and Jensen type situation. I don't. Those guys started younger than I did. And there's 2 of them.
Yes.
Right. So technically, going into season 7, there's just one of me. So I'm going to count it the same way. Oh, yes. When I got pitched the crossover yesterday, I was as excited to hear that pitch as I was when I got pitched that we were going to be introducing Barry Allen, all those years ago. So I'm still just as excited and enthused about doing the show.
The cool thing about that, it doesn't confirm that they're introducing a new character. He's definitely making it sound like they introduced a new character because he's as excited when they first introduced Barry Allen during season 2. And that was probably one of the biggest moments in the history of any of the DC TV shows. Because at that point, we didn't have The Flash, it was just Arrow. So it was like, oh, by the way, we're introducing one of the biggest characters in the history of comic books on our show. And he's going to get his own show right after this. Assuming this isn't going to be some crazy setup for Titans on the DC streaming service or anything like that, the newest characters, like really big ones that are really exciting that they've just introduced but haven't done a deep dive on yet, are Barry's children. That's a big idea that The Flash has dealt with this season, so they could be using that for some crossover stuff because it's going to be The Flash's 100th episode. So just something to think about while all these finales are happening in the next couple of weeks. The Flash finale isn't for a couple more weeks, Arrow's is next week, but Stephen Amell did say that they might be announcing something soon, so that means we might get a formal announcement of what next year's 4-way crossover is going to be, or some sort of teaser that'll give us an idea for what's going on. But talking about Arrow finale, so last night's episode, Oliver had a version of his Iron Man moment with the FBI agent, so now the idea is the FBI can balance the scales a little bit, but after they beat Diaz, inevitably, he either has to go to jail because he's come clean now and he's guilty of all the things that the FBI agent said that he was guilty of, or she lets him off the hook. So Stephen Amell did say that there would be no big cliffhanger at the end of the season. You would know exactly where the characters will pick up in episode 1 of season 7 next year. So obviously there'll be like some big moment they go out on, but it's not going to be are they alive or are they dead kind of cliffhanger like there was after season 5. Diaz effectively destroyed the Arrow bunker. That could be them saying that there won't be an Arrow bunker at the beginning of season 7, or they could be moving it to a different location. They still have the other bunker that the new recruits have been using, but they might just be setting up the idea that there is no Arrow bunker officially at the beginning of season 7 because Oliver's off doing something else or he's in prison if the FBI makes him do a couple episodes in prison. Diaz and the Quadrant, though, the whole idea when they set them up is that they were supposed to be this crazy organization, and Diaz has already killed almost 3 of them, it looks like, as of the end of this episode. So it's like Diaz taking control of the Quadrant. But you do wonder, like, he kills those bigger characters, do they not have anyone underneath them that's going to seize their power for their part of the Quadrant? We could talk all day about logic problems, but I think the whole idea is that the Quadrant is supposed to survive this, but Diaz is attempting a coup right now. We'll see what they do with them as an organization during season 7, but it's kind of ridiculous that Diaz is steamrolling through all of them. Like, if you're someone who's a member of the Quadrant, then arguably you have to be crazy powerful, crazy smart, so it's weird that Diaz can dispatch them so quickly. Either that's what's going on, like they're just having some logic problems, or they decided that they don't want to do Quadrant in season 7, so they're like, okay, we'll just have Diaz kill them all, even if it doesn't totally make sense. But as for the finale trailer footage, really all you see is what they left you with at the end of last week's episode. So you have Oliver talking to FBI agents, like he's come clean, so he has their support now, so they're getting ready to roll out. You see Diaz getting ready to blow up what looks like a very important building. Like, they wouldn't be blowing something up if it wasn't super important. So I'm guessing this is either City Hall or it's some big government building and a bunch of people will lose their lives. It just looks like he's trying to twist the knife in the wound that is the city. Like, he's been slowly destroying it. He's co-opted pretty much everything. Even the Quadrant isn't happy with what he's been doing, which is what led to him dispatching those characters. But you see Laurel with Quentin. I know we all have the theory that Quentin is going to be the sacrifice because they announced that Paul Blackthorne is leaving the show after this season. So it's like, they'll probably kill him off and use it for some redemption arc for Laurel's character. They tease that she might be the one to take down Diaz because Oliver hasn't been killing people as much. Like, when they came to his house, William's like, are they dead? And Oliver's like, nope, they're just down for the count. So he's trying not to be like the old Oliver anymore, but Black Siren has made no such promises. So if there are any bodies that get dropped, it's much more likely that Black Siren does it. But you do get the traditional finale big rooftop fight between the main hero and the main villain. So there'll at least be some huge battle between the two of them. Maybe Oliver spares his life, then Black Siren is the one to finish him off. I think the real question now is who is going to be the season 7 villain? Will we get a teaser for that in the finale? The Flash does that every year. They give you an idea for what's happening in the future season, but they don't always do that on Arrow. Like during the Arrow finale, it was just a question of who's alive and who's dead at the beginning of the season. They didn't tell you that Diaz was going to be the villain, even though we found out about that. I'm also wondering what they're going to do if they go past 7 seasons, because Stephen Amell said that he's already crossed off all the things on his bucket list. They've done all the things that they want to do. So that's usually something you say before a show's getting ready to wind down. So I don't know how many more seasons it'll go. It just depends on ratings. But what'll happen is next week we'll get the finale, so we can start talking about season 7 after we see that. We'll still have an episode of The Flash left. Hopefully we'll get that teaser for the 4-way crossover, or at least the concept pitch, like, oh, this is kind of what we're going to be doing without giving away the entire plot. But remember, it wasn't until a little bit later in the year that we found out about Crisis on Earth X, so they might wait till Comic-Con to announce what they're actually doing for the big crossover. But that's happening at the end of July. There's also a rumor that Titans is going to drop during the summer. And when I say summer, I'm talking about the end of the summer, so after Comic-Con sometime. So like tail end of July, sometime in August, that late in the summer. So I am expecting a bunch of Titans Young Justice Season 3 DC Universe streaming service stuff to happen at Comic-Con too. So we'll start talking about that as we move through all of the finales, but leave all your video requests in the comments below. What'll happen is they dropped a Death of Superman trailer, so I'll do a video for that later, but I have some new Infinity War to post, and obviously there'll be a whole bunch of DC stuff happening in the next couple of weeks. But while you wait for everything, click here for brand new Flash, and click here to learn about the crazy 70-episode order that Rick and Morty just got. Rick and Morty Season 4. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.